Hey everyone, James on behalf of FMS here, and today we're looking at something you guys might have seen on the RC Group's forum already. This is the 1400mm wingspan Kingfisher. It's a really all-around easy flying plane, good for beginners, good for lazy weekends, good for FPV. You can see that it comes with an FPV mount that we'll talk about in a bit. And it's very unique in that it comes with tundra tires, skis, and floats, as you see installed on the aircraft already. In terms of power, it uses a standard 3S 2200 milliamp hour 35C battery, and it's powered by a 3536 850 kV brushless outrunner. Let's take a quick look at what's in the box and do a quick build. Okay, so I've taken the box out, and from the box you can see that everything's well packaged, very compact. And something that's very different that I would like to point out is that it comes with floats, skis, and tundra tires already, which is very different to what other manufacturers offer, because what we often see is that it only comes with the tires. Now, to complete this build, you need two tools. One is a 1.5mm and a 2mm hex drive. This is something that most modelers won't have, so you'll need to get these first. Okay, now that we have everything out of the box, we're going to look at the box contents in a little more detail. Starting with the manual, very well written. Please look through that. You have the floats, the skis, the struts for the floats, landing gear struts, prop accessories, spinners and such, and then wing spar, horizontal stabilizer. You have the FPV mount for the front of the aircraft. You have the screws and the R-clips that you'll need. You have the rear landing gear, main fuselage, wing struts, and the main wing. Okay, so now with all the box contents looked at, let's start the build. Okay, so step one of the manual tells us that we have to install the main landing gear. So what we need now is the landing gear cover, the landing gear itself, which the wheels are attached to already, and three 2mm bolts with a 2mm hex screw. So we're going to line up the holes with the holes on the fuselage. Okay, and then we're going to put the fairing on top, making sure that the holes still line up. Okay, we're going to take our bolts and secure the landing gear like so. Okay, make sure that all the screws are secured, because this is going to take the brunt of your landings. And that's the landing gear installation. Okay, next we're going to install the main wings. For this, we need to locate the wing spar and the main wings. We're going to come to the fuselage. Okay, put it on its side. Going to put the wing spar into the wing. There's a tube, it fits very snugly. Let's put the wing spar into this pass-through right here, and make sure you put the aileron wires into the fuselage as it points out in the manual, like so. And then we make sure that the wing is aligned with the fuselage. Okay, we're going to repeat on the other side as well, so I'm going to flip the plane over a little bit. Make sure we align the wing with the wing spar, like so. Again, aileron wires go into this pass-through on top of the fuselage. Make sure it's all the way through. Align the wing with the fuselage and push until we hear a click. Okay, next up on our manual, it says to install the Y harnesses. Your aircraft would come with flaps, but mine doesn't because mine is prototype. So Your aircraft would come with 2 Y harnesses, one that says aileron, the other that says flap. But the basic way to install it is that you take the Y harness, flip the plane over, note that the canopy is latched onto the fuselage, so just latch it up. Locate the 2 servo leads that came out of the wing and connect it to the Y harness. Make sure the ailerons go to the ailerons and the flaps go to the flaps. And that's it. Next, let's install the wing struts. To do this, we need to first put our canopy back onto the fuselage. So the tongue goes into the fuselage, and then you push down on the latch. Once you hear a click, the canopy is secured. Now we flip the plane over. And we will secure the wing struts. A little tip here is to install the fuselage side first, then the wings. It'll make it a little bit easier. And then what we're going to do is we're going to secure the struts with our clips. Okay, let's do the same on the other side as well. So, fuselage side first, then the wings, then the R-clips. R-clip goes in, this side as well. Nice. And next, let's install the horizontal stabilizer. We're doing this upside down because the plane's upside down already. So the latch faces up. If you're going to do this the right side up, the latch faces down, of course. Now it's a railed system, so what you're going to do is you're going to move the rudder to one side, and you're going to align the rail to the fuselage, and align the latch to its opening here. And we're going to push forward until you hear a click. Okay, next we're going to install the tail wheel. To do this, we have the tail wheel, the fairing for the vertical stabilizer, and 2 bolts, 2mm bolts. What we're going to do now is going to take the tail wheel. I'm going to flip the plane, this way, so you can see it a little bit better. What we're going to do now is to take the tail wheel assembly, push it through this hole here, and then line it up with the hole where the screw goes into the rudder. So make sure the servo horn is aligned with the servo. And then to secure it with the 2mm screws. Okay, next we're going to install the push rods. And for more information on the control throws, please refer to the inside of this manual. And to take the 2 push rods, these are for the rudder and elevator. These come here to the aircraft. Going to install it on the outermost hole. If you're a beginner, please install it into the innermost hole for less control throw. And onto the control surface. We're going to slide this silicone tube thing onto the clevis. Okay, next we're going to do the horizontal stabilizer. Flip the plane over. Push rod goes into the servo horn, like so, and then the clevis attaches to the control horn on the surface. Again, if you're a beginner, try and move the push rod onto the innermost hole in the control horn and then the outermost hole here on the surface to give you a little less control throw. That means the aircraft would not be as sensitive. Having a hard time trying to push this silicone tube into the clevis, but there you go. Okay, we're going to install the prop now with its fairing. So there are 4 components to the prop. The base goes on the shaft like so, and then the prop itself, and this fairing on top, like so. And then we take the nose cone and then we secure it like so. Okay, so let's install the skis. What we're going to do is to take out the skis themselves, the 2 extra bolts, the shorter bolts that attach to the skis, a 7mm socket wrench, a 3mm hex drive, and some pliers. So what we're going to do is to remove the wheels first. What we're going to do is to put the 3mm on the back and secure it while we remove the nut and the wheel. You can tell that this screw is much longer than the screws for the skis, so we're going to remove this as well. Okay. We're going to take this screw, the shorter screw, attach the nut. Okay, let's install the ski itself. Make sure this cutout is facing the inside of the aircraft, facing the fuselage. Put it into the bolt. And then push the piano wire out onto the landing gear itself so it gives a little tension. And repeat on the other side. If you are going to fly off of water, here are the included floats on the Kingfisher. So there are 2 horizontal struts, 2 landing gear struts, 8 set screws, a water rudder, and 2 retainers to retain the whole structure onto the fuselage. So what we're going to do now is to assemble the floats themselves first before we attach it to the aircraft. What we're going to do is take the horizontal struts and then make sure that the notch is facing up so the set screws could bite into the struts themselves. Okay, we're going to take one of these set screws and install it here, and make sure it's nice and tight. Next, we're going to install the landing gear strut, or the float strut rather, into the larger of the 2 holes here. Make sure that the notch is also facing up so the set screw could actually bite into it. Make sure it's nice and tight. A tip here would be that the top of the strut needs, also on the tail as well, the top of the strut needs to be inboard. Okay, we're going to secure this with a set screw, like so. Secure. Then it's that horizontal strut again. In order to install the floats, we need to remove this traditional landing gear, or in our case right now, it's the skis. To do so, we need to remove these 3 screws. Oops. Make sure we keep that in a safe spot. Okay, with these 3 screws loose, the whole landing gear would come off. Okay, now we're going to put the floats onto the fuselage. There are 2 slots over here. Make sure they're firmly inside. I'm going to take that fairing from the traditional landing gear from just a moment ago, and we're going to align it with the screw holes. 2mm bolt. Okay, there are 2 fairings that go on the back of the strut. Make sure that the notch is facing out. And we're going to attach those with our 2mm screws as well. And with that, the floats are secured. Now after the floats are installed, we need to install the water rudder. So to do so, we need to first remove the fairing off the rudder. All right, like so. We're going to push the wheels, the tail wheel out like this, and we're going to drag it out. Like so. Then we're going to take the water rudder, do the same thing as we did when we installed the tail wheel. And make sure that the screw holes are aligned. And we will secure it with the 2 bolts. First bolt goes in like so, second bolt. Okay, apart from the scale canopy, we can actually install the included FPV canopy as well. There's a little plywood surface that you can mount your FPV gear to, and it also latches onto the fuselage like so. Alright, so now we're going to do the installation of the receiver and the power on test. Before we do that, we should remove the prop because this is the first time we're powering on this aircraft. Safety first. Today, for this example, we're going to use a FlySky A6 receiver. And all the wires are clearly labeled, the channel numbers and of course what the channels are. So channel 1 aileron, channel 2 elevator, okay, then a channel 3 throttle, then channel 4 rudder. For the recommended power pack, we're going to use a 3S 2200 milliamp hour 35C battery pack, LiPo. It goes here. Check the center of gravity after you install the battery. Okay, we're going to power on. We're going to turn on the transmitter first and power on the aircraft second. Make sure that all the channels are functioning. Okay, you have the ailerons, the elevator, and then the rudder. For channels that are reversed, of course, reverse them and then you're good to go.